Okay, so today, parents, I'm going to be talking about the type of strategies that I have, and I show the students in the whole entire school year. I'm going to be showing them 4 types of strategies. The 4 strategies, let me write them down for you, are going to be the first one are called fiction strategies, and these are going to be strategies done for only stories that are fictional, fake stories. And that's how I tell the kids, fiction starts with an F, then those are your fiction strategies. You're going to do your fake, that's the fake story, the fiction strategies. Then there's something called non-fiction strategies, and I'll show you what those look like in a second. And then there's going to be something called poem strategies. And then there's going to be something else called drama strategies. So in the STAR test, they are going to have different types of genres that they're going to be tested on. They're going to be tested on fiction, nonfiction, poems, and dramas. So that's why I have 4 different types of strategies. And I'm going to show you what those look like. I'm going to have a video for each strategy. The first one, this video that we're going to be focusing on is going to be the fiction strategies. And so I'm going to show you what those look like. So the story that we have is called Why the Sky is Far Away. And so the first thing that they have to do is put the title, Why the Sky is Far Away. The way their story looks like, I always like to put their story, their weekly story, on the computer, because when they test, they're going to be tested on the computer. Nothing is going to be on paper. So they get their title here, Why the Sky is Far Away, and then it lists the paragraphs as so, like this. So here the story has 17 paragraphs, and so it's a fictional story, which means it's a story that is fake. After they find the title, the next thing that they have to do is they have to look for these 5 things. So I always tell them the strategies are divided into 2 sections. The first part of the strategies is going to be looking for the characters, the setting, the problem, the solution, and the lesson. So I do these pictures so they don't actually have to write, the word characters or write the word setting. Some kids do like to do that. I just do these images so they remember. So the face is characters. So in the story, as they're reading, they're going to be finding, there's a man, there's women, there's children, there's Oba the king, the sky, Adis, Otolo, right? These are the characters that are in the story. The setting, that means where is the story taking place? Where are they? In the story, they're in the palace. Then the problem, right? I do these little things right here, and what I do with my hands, I kind of like clink them together like if they're fighting, and I say, okay, what's the problem, guys? And so the problem here is that the sky is angry because people are being wasteful. Adis cannot finish her pie. So here, this is a fictional story about the sky, how he gives food to this village. He's giving food to this village, and the people are being wasteful. They're están agarrando, lots of food and not even eating it. They're kind of just throwing it to the trash. So the problem of the story, right, is that the sky is angry. He's telling them, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna leave, and you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna get food for yourself, because I'm giving you food and you're causing me to be angry. So that's the problem. Now, as they're reading, they're filling this out. They don't fill this out in un jalón. What's happening is that as they're reading paragraph 1, they're reading paragraph 2, and they stop and they're like, oh, you know what? I found the problem. Let me go back and let me go to my strategies. And so we're going back and forth. We're reading and filling out our strategies at the same time. And so here's the problem. They write it down. Then at the end of the story, once they finish reading it, they're giving me the solution. And I put 2 links like that. And what I do with my hands, I kind of go like this. Now they're shaking hands. How did they solve the problem? They solved the problem because now the sky left. He told them, if you don't figure it out, I'm gonna have to leave. And so he did. He left, and the people, and we forgot here to put, the people learned how to plant food on their own, and how to get food on their own without having given it to the sky. And they learn how to not be wasteful. And so the heart is the lesson, because I tell them in the story there's always a lesson that they learn. This lesson you can use in real life, in your daily life. It's usually something positive. In this case, it's don't be wasteful, right? Always be mindful of what you're eating. Never to just waste food, because that's not okay, right? And so this part of the story, of the strategies, they're filling it out at the same time that they're reading. They're reading and going back to the strategies, reading and going back to the strategies. So everything's being done at the same time. Once they are done with, the story, they already finished reading it, they already finished this part, then they do the next part of the strategies, which is your questions. Now, on your questions, what happens is that what I like for the students to do is I like for them to prove to me their answers. Because I tell them, all your answers are going to be in your story. They're going to be in your story. You're not going to find them anywhere else. They're going to be there. And so what I tell them is you got to go back. The key to getting 100, the key to getting a good grade on your STAR test is to go back to your story. I try to emphasize to the kids, there's no way you're going to be able to get a good grade if you don't go back. You have to read it, more than one time. You have to go back and find it. And a quick trick that I, teach them is that whatever the question is asking you, whatever words the question is there, usually, those words in the question are going to be in the story, and that's majority of the time your answer. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So if you look at question 1, we're going to go back to our story. So on your story, you have your question 1. And let me just turn the camera up this way really quick. The question here is, what is the message of the story? They want to know, what's the message? What's the lesson? What did they learn, right? Message, lesson, theme, those are all the same thing. What are they trying to teach you in the story? Are they trying to teach you hard work is difficult? Are they trying to teach you that being wasteful is wrong? Are they trying to, it is important to work together, or people should listen to their leaders? The answer here is that being wasteful is wrong. Now, once you click on that, I tell the students, you cannot just click your answer and that's it. You're done. I can go to the next question. No. Once you click your answer, you have to prove to me, how do I know it's this answer? Where did I find it? How do I know? Well, because it's in the story. So what I had to do is, when I go back to my story, I have to go back to my story and I can find my answer. Well, if I was a student, I always tell them, if I was a student, I'd go back to my story and say, well, where does it say, that being wasteful is wrong? You know what? I think I read something in paragraph 15. In paragraph 15, it says, you must learn how to plow the land and gather crops and hunt in the forest, answered this guy. Perhaps through your own labor, you will learn not to waste the gifts of nature. You will learn, not to waste, waste the food that earth gives us. So they're teaching us here that being wasteful is wrong. We should learn not to waste. And you see how it says here, learn not to waste. You see, so that's my answer. That's my evidence. So when I go back to my strategies, this is where I'm going to put, question 1. I found my answer because it's not, don't be wasteful, right? That's my answer. Don't be wasteful. How do I know? Because in paragraph 15, it states, and it says this, you will learn not to waste the gifts of nature. That's what it said. And that's how, I got my question 1. See, so this part is teaching them how to go back to the story and find their answer in the story. Let's look at question 2. Question 2 says, what problem does Adiz have? Okay, so now I have to look for the problem. And again, I emphasize to the students, you can't just answer it. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that she cannot eat her piece of the sky. She got too much and she's full now. She wants to throw it. I know that's the problem. Well, I tell them here, how do you know? You can't just answer and go to the next question. I want you to go back to your story and I want you to prove it. And the reason why I have them do this, parents, is because majority of the time, students will click whatever answer. Let's just say, they click this. She doesn't like the taste of the sky. And once I start seeing students just clicking on whatever, I'll go and ask them and, I'll say, how do you know? Can you prove that to me? And they'll go back to the story and they'll look for it and they'll go, and they're looking for it and they can't find it. And they'll tell me, Miss, well, nowhere does it say that she doesn't like the taste of the sky. So then if it's not in the story, guess what? It's not your right answer. So that is why I tell them, go back. So here, the answer is that she cannot eat her piece of the sky. Watch, I'll prove it. If we go to paragraph 9, because that's where I remember I read it, in paragraph 9, it says, it says she had only finished, right here, last sentence. She had only finished 1/3 of it when she could swallow no more. She had a problem. She couldn't eat it. She couldn't finish it, right? She had only finished 1/3 of it. So here I proved my answer. Miss, I know it's this answer because it says it right here. Well, we go back to our strategies and you prove it to me, right? And so we prove it. We put, question 2, this is my answer. These cannot finish the big piece of the sky. Why? How do I know that's the answer? Because in paragraph 9, it states she had only finished 1/3 of it when she could swallow no more. So this is very important. The reason also, there's another reason why I have them actually go back and cite their evidence is because when they're doing their RAISE, right, their SCR, their short constructed response, they have to actually go back and tell me this. They have to prove their answer. And so by doing this on their strategies already, it's going to help them do a really good job when they're writing on the paragraph. And you can see, what an SCR looks like and an ECR looks like in one of my other videos that I have on my YouTube list. But, this is how they do the strategies, and once they're done proving that, that's it. And so this is what their strategies looks like, They have their first part of the strategies and the second part of the strategies. They got to tell me their characters, the setting, the problem, the solution, the lesson, and then they got to tell me, how you got to prove your answers. This part is just proving your answers. You got to go back. This part, forces them to go back to the story and to find the answer. Because again, majority of the time, guys, parents, what I'm seeing is that a lot of students are just clicking whatever and they're moving on and clicking whatever and moving on. And they can't tell me where they found it in their story. So this strategy really works because it gets them to go back to the story and actually look for the answer. And one of the tricks, like I told you, one of the things that they can do is, she cannot eat her piece of the sky. She could swallow no more. It's very, very similar. She cannot eat no more. She cannot swallow no more. This is how you know it's the answer. So I think really doing this at home, practicing this at home, kind of encouraging them, you got to go back. That is what the kids need. But these are just your fictional strategies, okay? We have 3 more other strategies, okay? But they're very similar. The only thing that changes from all the strategies, this part is going to be the same. In every single strategy that they're going to do, they have to go back and prove it. This part never changes. What is going to change is going to be the part on top. Because you're going to see in nonfiction stories, there's no characters in nonfiction stories because they're stories about real things. Like if they're if it's a story about planets, if it's a story about plants, well, there's not going to be any characters, right? So this part is going to change for nonfiction strategies, and I'll show you what that looks like in a different set of videos. But for now, this is what fiction strategies look like. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have suggestions, please leave that on my comment section or, message me privately through Remind. If you have any questions, I will be gladly to help you guys out. Thank you for watching.